In the headlines, flood in Jigawa displaces hundreds. Residents say they have not seen its kind before. 4 persons confirmed dead, 3 others rescued in another Lagos building collapse. Dauda Lawal re-elected Zamfara PDP governorship candidate. And on the foreign scene, 35 dead in Iran protest over death of a woman in police custody. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. And now the news in detail. Residents in Jigawa State say the flood witnessed in the state is the worst they have seen in recent time. The residents spoke to Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin that the flood is submerging many farming communities, destroying crops and houses across the state, raising fear of food shortages. His report.
For 2 long weeks, flood water have covered large part of Jigawa State. Farmland and damaged roads have become temporary fishing grounds.
Like now, I'm fishing here. If God help me to get enough, I will go and sell. If I couldn't get so much, then I'll just take it home for my family to eat.
With their crops rotting underwater, their homes and schools submerged, many affected farming communities are now taking refuge in nearby government facilities. Authorities say hundreds and thousands of them have seen this year's harvest wiped out.
Then the rainfall started, and as a result of the rainfall, there was a heavy rainfall about 3 days in Jigawa State. That rainfall affected all the local governments because the rainfall was there everywhere in the 27 local governments we have. So as a result of that rainfall, so many houses and so many people were killed.
In our local government area alone, authorities say thousands of farmlands have been washed away and that over 400,000 people are affected by the flood disaster.
Definitely there is going to be a food shortage because, as I am telling you, 60% of the food that we are getting in this entire northern Nigeria is from this Hadija axis. Now the farmlands have been washed away, therefore we could not get anything.
For now, things are getting more complicated. Hundreds of villages are being submerged, farmlands washed away, and farmers say they fear the worst.
Houses are gone, farmlands are gone. What do we eat? You can see that we don't have homes, we don't have, our farms have been washed away, so what do? There is no food for us to eat. If the irrigation farming comes, we don't have money to buy the fuel for the irrigation. What do? 1 bag of maize is 20,000 naira. 1 bag of fertilizer is 25,000 naira. What do you think we should do?
While residents continue to flee for safety, the flood waters continue to take over the entire Hadija Emirates. There are growing concerns that things could get worse in the next coming days. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
4 bodies have been evacuated and 3 rescued in the 3-story building that collapsed at Oyesonuga Street, Isolo area of Mushin, Lagos State. The Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Femi Okeosanyotolu, confirmed the development on Friday evening. The building caved in around 12 noon on Friday, with people trapped in the debris while rescue operation has been intensified. Okeosanyotolu disclosed that at 7:49 p.m., 4 bodies had been retrieved from the building, which included the bodies of 2 males and 2 females. He said 3 people have been rescued so far and taken to the hospital.
We are on top of crowd control. We are painstaking in our procedure, and we rescue 3 people under the rubble. However, we sympathize with the families that lost their beloved ones in here. We recovered 4 bodies, 2 females and 2 males. And you can see that operation is ongoing. under the watch of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. We will do holistic investigations. Then we will be able to ascertain what causes it. Because we need to be empirical about what we are doing. We will carry out investigations. We will do integrity tests. We will ask questions before we could conclude what led to this building collapse.
Kaduna State Government has expressed regret over the prolonged gridlock currently experienced along the Kaduna-Abuja road. Citizens plying the route over the last few days have experienced severe hardship and discomfort due to the gridlock. A statement signed by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, says government is in discussions with Julius Berger PLC and other relevant agencies to solve the problem. The objective, according to the Commissioner, is to ensure that obstructions are promptly cleared and the gridlock is eased for normal movement of traffic as soon as possible. In politics, the leadership crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party is getting deeper, with the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike alleging that the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, manipulated the party's presidential primary in favor of Atiku Abubakar. Governor Wike made the allegation during a media chat with journalists in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. The governor said the PDP national chairman did everything to ensure that he did not emerge as presidential candidate for the 2023 general election at the party's primary in May. He said his only regret for not winning the primary is that he will not have the opportunity to fight bandits and oil thieves.
The problem is that we have not won an election. We are too arrogant. We are too arrogant. We have not won an election. We are telling Nigerians, look, you can't trust us. We say one thing, we do a different thing. Apart from this, Ayu is very corrupt. Very, very corrupt. Will he deny the fact that he did not collect 1 billion naira from Lagos? From Lagos? Yes. Who in Lagos? I would let him deny. I will tell him who gave him the money.
Lagos?
Yeah,
Lagos
not Lagos state government or the man. I'm talking about the money was given to him in Lagos. Yes.
For what purpose?
He met one of the presidential aspirants and told him that he's not sure these governors may want to sponsor the party. Let Ayu say no. I would even call some of the businessmen. I heard the money was arranged in Lagos. That money did not enter to the account of PDP. But we're not attacking Ayu on that basis. Simple thing. Instead of you to do the right thing, all you will do is name calling. Who is wicked? We'll do without him. I never say you cannot do without me. I never said so. But all I say, you can't do without me in my state.
Meanwhile, Ayu could not be reached for comments. Dauda Lawal has been re-elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party for 2023 election on Friday in Gusau. Lawal polled 422 votes to emerge the candidate of the party, beating his opponents Ibrahim Shehu and Hafiz Muhammad, who got 1 vote each, with Wadato Madaiki scoring 0 votes. Chairman of the committee sent from the PDP headquarters in Abuja to conduct the fresh primary election in Zamfara State, Hassan Hiet described the exercise as peaceful, transparent and credible, while announcing Dauda Lawal as the winner, having scored the highest number of votes and is returned as the governorship candidate of the party. A federal high court in Gusau, Zamfara State, had last Friday nullified the primary election of the PDP and ordered that fresh primary elections be conducted. Lawal will now face a candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress and incumbent Governor Bello Matawalle, as well as candidates of other 16 political parties in the 2023 elections.
We were mandated by the Federal High Court to conduct a new primaries. And we are law-abiding, and we comply with that order. And alhamdulillah, today, new primaries have been conducted. And by the will of God, we became victorious. I want to thank each and every one of you for giving this opportunity and for your commitment towards making sure justice is done.
The Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted against the People's Democratic Party seeking to enforce the zoning and rotational policy in the 2023 presidential election. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro on Friday, the court struck out the suit on grounds of lack of jurisdiction to entertain it. A presidential aspirant of the PDP and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Cosmos Ndukwe, had instituted the suit against his party, praying for the order of the court to compel it to uphold the zoning and rotatory policy of the party. Specifically, the presidential aspirant sought for an order of the courts to compel PDP to zone the nomination of its presidential candidate to the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. However, Justice Jauro dismissed the suit on the grounds that the nomination for candidate for the election was an internal affair of political parties. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Fire disaster management safety tips. Do stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Here's a recap of some of our top stories. You heard that flood in Jigawa displaces hundreds of residents, say they have not seen its kind before. We also told you that 4 persons are confirmed dead, 3 others rescued in another building in Lagos. Moving to more news, building the capacity of young Nigerians is a task that is central to the raising of future leaders that will cement the development of the country. It is an assignment the Future Trust Initiative has taken on to instill in young Nigerians leadership qualities and reassure them of a brighter future ahead. Noel Sampson has the rest of the story.
The future starts from today, and decisions taken affect tomorrow. Above captures the essence of this gathering aimed at monitoring young ones for the challenges ahead. The Future Trust Initiative, organized in Abuja, is essentially to build the capacity of the young ones who are encouraged to make themselves available and ready to be problem solvers.
Nigeria and Africa, by extension, would not stand a fighting chance, let alone compete to grow and develop. So, young ladies and gentlemen, if, according to the theme of TAFMOON 2022, you are the future, people with requisite skills and strengths must live in every nook and cranny to make it hum and rhyme like one village.
The conference is hoped to be a rewarding educational experience to all the delegates who are participating in the conference to be able to tackle world's pressing issues.
After TAFMOON, go out there and engage the world in a transformed manner. So then, put succinctly, you are at TAFMOON to broaden your horizon like never imagined before. Let us all join hands to give our youth the opportunity to be heard as they contribute their quota in solving the myriad of problems plaguing our society and the world.
Encouraging the reading habits among the younger generation is also very important in preparing them for the future.
Teen Trust is a special teenage publication owned by Media Trust Group. It's the same company that owns the Daily Trust newspaper, Trust TV, and a vernacular paper called Armenia. Our aim is to instill the reading culture and develop writing skills in both primary and secondary school students. The world has long realized that today's children are tomorrow's leaders. And this has made it more important for us to give the required attention to the education of our children.
Every day is a choice to begin, and the young ones are counseled not to focus on previous failures, but to move with positive thoughts and expectations. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The advent of digital technology has had both positive and negative impacts on education, as it has provided more access to a variety of online learning materials, diverting learners away from the physical hard copy textbooks. Hamidu Igbade, in this report, observes the effect of this new trend on the dwindling reading culture in Nigeria. His report is presented from our studio.
Working hard at school from primary to higher education has long been encouraged by parents and teachers for generations, as most people believe education is the key to success. But this could only be achieved through learning. So, reading is very essential. Reading helps to discover new things and helps learners to gain more knowledge. However, in spite of the dwindling reading culture among Nigerians, physical textbooks are gradually phasing out with the advent of new digital technology. A bookseller in Oshogbo, Osun State, Sam Alisigwe, said people still buy books.
Like a computer and a phone, they are saying. What you see there is difference on the practical one you see on the textbook. That one is working through, but the one that you see on the textbook is the one you can be rely to read at any time. So two of them is working, but to read textbook, difference is there.
Meanwhile, with huge uncensored content on social media and various online video games, there is serious concerns on the content that youths are exposed to on mobile phones. A private school proprietor in Oshogbo, Goke Omibodun, and the former vice-chancellor of Osun State University, Professor Oguntola Alamu, agreed that reading on internet is good depending on the content read.
Social media can be used for any purpose. It can be used for reading, it can be used for pornography, it can be used for evangelism, it can be used for politics, it can be used for financial information dissemination. So I again would say whatever is your interest is what you will pursue.
We thank God for the advent of technology that has brought the internet close to you and I. Internet can be utilized productively. Our youth can visit internet, search for e-books, e-materials. They have experiments conducted online they can check through. They can watch teachers deliver lectures online. They can read learning resources on the internet.
The changing face of education has changed the use of educational materials to access knowledge. The use of the internet should therefore be aimed towards garnering knowledge that will engender success in life.
Federal and state fire services have the statutory responsibility for search and rescue, fire prevention, mitigation, firefighting, as well as paramedical services. The resources are being expended on the fire services by government to discharge their duties accordingly. Many Nigerians express concern over their ineffectiveness. In this report, Bello Musa examines the perception of Nigerians about the activities of the fire service in disaster management. Take a look.
Fire service was established in Nigeria in 1901 as an arm of the Lagos Police Fire Brigade, and in April 1963, an Act of Parliament established the Federal Fire Service. The service is still the only agency by law saddled with the responsibility of firefighting and prevention, such as rescue services and disaster management. However, the concerns raised by many Nigerians is whether the service the agency renders at the federal and state levels are effective.
Anywhere there's a fire outbreak, with their geostatical mapping, the fire service is supposed to know immediately, but they would not know till somebody gives them a call.
Before they got to the point of the event, things might have escalated.
They are trying always coming if they invite them to come.
Some Nigerians said due to lack of motivation and modern equipment, some people have lost lives or millions of naira worth property because of late response to distress calls, while others faulted the government's inability to provide adequate and modern firefighting equipment.
We blame both the state and the federal government for not properly equipping them.
When you go to the fire service, they'll complain that they don't have fuel in their lorries. Or even if they have fuel in their lorries, they don't have water in their tanks.
So basically the way the whole system is designed, the whole system is designed to help you start fighting fire for the first 5 minutes while you connect from the nearest fire hydrants back to your tank, so that you have continuous flow of water from the hydrant, from the source of water to your tank, then you continue fighting your fire for a longer period of time. But if I may ask you, when was the last time you see a hydrant within any metropole?
While the firefighting agency is blamed for lack of public enlightenment on disaster prevention and ill-prepared, the agency lamented how the communities are also stumbling blocks to achieving their task. The agency said nonchalant attitude of people toward fire safety is one of the major hindrances they face.
Have these fire servicemen been funded adequately so that they can go to radio station houses, so that they can go to television stations, so that they can go to online pages, online media, and then start enlightening people about how to prevent outbreaks of fire?
When you go into certain localities, Koro, in quote, you realize that where someone is not supposed to build, he has built a shop from his fence, and the shop is occupying part of the lane. We have very big fire trucks, so navigating will be a bit difficult.
Residents have called on the government to equip the agency with modern equipment of fighting disaster and also to create awareness on safety measures. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Nigeria lost properties worth 3 trillion naira to fire incidents in 2021, despite huge amounts of money spent to fund firefighters. The perception of some Nigerians, however, is that the firefighting agency in the country is not effective. Ibrahim Ismail examines factors responsible for incessant fire outbreaks in Gombe State and files in this report.
According to the Gombe State Fire Service, the use of substandard equipment, electrical and cooking products, and negligence of safety protocols are some of the main causes of incessant fire outbreaks in the state. Speaking on the perception of Nigerians over alleged inefficiency by the firefighters, the Deputy Operation Officer, Gombe State Fire Service, Idris Musa Kwame, said they operate amid multiple challenges, including trafficked and obsolete equipment.
The problem we encounter during our services is that if you can call a fire from one direction to another, like say I'm here at Tenduku and you call me over the phone that fire at BCJ, you are expected to reach that fire from here Tenduku to BCJ within 5 minutes because we are using siren. That's to claim the right of the way. We are moving speedy because of what? Maybe it is either life or huge properties is involved in that particular incident. That's the essence of our quickness. You understand? But the challenge is that the motorists,
He called on authorities to strengthen their efficiency by providing modern equipment.
Yes, the demand of the worker will not be above of what he requires for his own work. The equipment, our fire trucks, and our other material that we can be using it for both emergency and non-emergency activities.
One of the most burning questions is, are Nigerians really aware of fire safety tips?
The major precautions that I would take in my home to prevent fire outbreak is whenever I'm going out or whenever I'm not using my appliances, I used to off them. I will make sure that they are off. So if I'm going out of the house, I will make sure that every socket in my house or any appliances, even the socket doesn't contain any appliances that is connected, I will make sure that I off them completely before going out.
Kamar yanzu muna amfani da gawayi ne, mukan kashe gawayin mu.
We are using charcoal for cooking. We put them off and electrical appliances before going to bed. We only leave the fan. This is what we do to prevent fire outbreak. Although federal government said it undertook a 10.4 billion naira infrastructure upgrade in 2021, experts believe that observing fire safety protocols can drastically reduce the rate of fire outbreaks in the country. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
On the foreign scene, the death toll from protests in Iran over the death of a young woman in police custody has risen to 35, according to state media. The Iranian state television late Friday said 35 protesters and policemen have been killed since the protest erupted last Saturday following the funeral of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman who died after being detained by the morality police in Tehran on September 13 for allegedly wearing her hijab improperly. Authorities have sought to blame her death on a heart attack, but her family and many in Iran have rejected the claim, saying she was the victim of police brutality. Authorities have promised a thorough investigation into Amina's death. Her death has triggered a wave of angry protests in Iran over the past week, with protesters calling for justice and accountability. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.